Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us in this last installment of Lunch with Lawmakers. We are just 1 week away from the general election, and we just appreciate so much you tuning in and hearing this last conversation with incumbent Congressman for District 1, Joe Cunningham. Any of the past webinars or discussions, forums that you missed, they are on our Facebook page, the Chamber's Facebook page, as well as our website. Would love for you to be able to go back. Perhaps during this conversation, we'll put that link in the chat box so that you can go back. We've interviewed those candidates for town council for Hilton Head Island, county council. We've also talked with our state government representatives and Tom Davis, the incumbent, as well as Nathan Campbell, his opponent for the Senate District 46 seat. So all of your candidates, if you haven't voted yet, you're still making up your mind, want to hear their conversations, or perhaps just be informed and hear more about their ideas. If you have already cast your ballot, we'd love for you to join in. During the conversation with Congressman Cunningham, we did pre-record this, by the way, just a couple of days ago because of his busy schedule. But if you would like to continue the conversation live online, we'd love to hear, follow along, and post your comments in the chat box. And we'll do our best to get those comments to the congressman, his staff, as well as just amongst ourselves continue to discuss. So enjoy the conversation. I know I certainly did, and hear his ideas, and we'll be back to wrap things up. It's about 28 minutes long. We're honored to be joined today by incumbent Congressman Joe Cunningham, South Carolina's 1st District. And Congressman Cunningham, first of all, just let me tell you how much we really appreciate you and your team working with Lane, with Jamie, with Jose. You guys have been so incredibly responsive during your tenure here in the Low Country. And we just really want to thank you for all that you've done with us up to this point in Washington. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Well, it's an honor, Hannah, of my lifetime to serve the Low Country. And, you know, we love what we do every day, and I'm glad that our staff has been accessible, and whatever needs you all have, you know, there's an open door with our office, so feel free to reach out anytime. Obviously, it goes to the entire community down there, so we're thrilled to be doing what we're doing.
Well, we just appreciate all that you have done and continue to do for us. In the past week, you know, this is the last Lunch with Lawmakers that we're having. This is the 7th in the installment. And, you know, one of the things that we've just enjoyed, just in case there's anyone here in the Low Country that doesn't know about you, your background, and what drove you into the crazy world of politics. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and of course, how Amanda and your son are doing.
Well, we're doing great. Thank you so much for asking. You know, by background, I'm an engineer, worked as an ocean engineer for a number of years. And then later on went to law school, got my law degree, and worked in the construction litigation field for a number of years. And then, you know, just like a lot of people, just fed up with the way politics had been going, tired of seeing the divisiveness, the name calling, the partisan rhetoric. And back in 2017, decided that I wanted to do more than just, you know, complain about it, and wanted to jump off the sideline and try to change it myself, you know, not just so much for our generation, but for the generations that are coming behind us. We've got a lot of problems in our country, and you know, they're not going to get solved by just the partisan flame throwing that you see up in Washington, D.C. So, you know, we set out to you know, reach across the aisle, be bipartisan. And I'm proud that, you know, we've been endorsed from conservative groups like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, how we, out of 435 members, have been ranked number 4 for being the most bipartisan. And I think it's a testament to how you can get things done in Washington, D.C. You know, we've had a number of our bills that have been signed into law by President Trump. The VA Telehearing Modernization Act makes it easier for veterans to appeal their claims through Skype or Zoom, like we're talking today. And the Great American Outdoors Act was another huge piece of environmental legislation that permanently funds the Land Water Conservation Fund, which is responsible for a lot of green spaces like the Hunting Island State Park down there and Waterfront Park up here, Folly Beach Pier. So a lot of great things we've gotten done in just the first 2 years. And so just excited to continue working for the Low Country, though, in that bipartisan fashion.
That you mentioned, and you mention it in passing as if it's, you know, not a big deal, but that endorsement by the U.S. Chamber, you know, I work very closely with the advocacy team, with the U.S. Chamber. And that doesn't happen often. They don't endorse Democrats, and not that Democrats are bad people or things. It's just that many times the Democrats don't vote along with their legislative scorecard. It's very qualitative and quantitative what they do when they make an endorsement. But they actually told me that you vote more in line with their Republican agenda scorecard than all of the Republican delegation in Congress, like Congressman Wilson and Duncan. How do you explain being a Democrat, but yet having so many moderate views as well that take you alongside? Is that something that you're proud of, to have that kind of bipartisanship?
Yeah, Hannah, look, this is something we ran on, putting a low country over party, putting people over politics. And, the district we represent is a more conservative district. Yeah, I'm going to have some votes that may anger people within my own party. But look, I've been honest with people since the get-go on this, is that we're going to put the low country first. And so, take for example, when the bill came up to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, I think the current minimum wage is too low. It needs to come up. However, when I talk to small business owners, restaurant owners, a lot down there in Hilton Head or in Beaufort or here in Charleston, they said that more than doubling the minimum wage would result in them either laying off employees or reducing hours and overall loss of jobs. So something that I listen to our constituents, and again, it may not make people in my own party happy, but this is what it looks like, putting low country over party or people over politics. So it's like I said, honor of my lifetime to represent the district, and we're trying to hold true to that.
We polled our members and asked them about topics or issues that they specifically wanted you to address. And in my conversation with your opponent last week, we stayed to these same topics as well. So I'll throw those out there. I know that your thoughts may meander onto different subject matters too, so feel free to comment as you wish. But I will ask in the order of importance that was to our membership. The first thing was overwhelmingly the state of the economy. And, COVID, I can't ask a question about the economy without, it could be about trade or what have you, but I can't ask a question about the economy without it in context to COVID. And COVID stimulus and recovery is another issue they said is important to them. So here, here is the pen to a COVID stimulus package, a continued recovery, a strengthening. What would Joe Cunningham in January for the next 2 years want included in that stimulus? What's it going to take for you to sign off on another economic stimulus? Or what do you think needs to be included in that to keep our economy moving forward?
Well, we've been working in a group called the Problem Solvers Caucus, Hannah, and that's a bipartisan group, 25 Democrats, 25 Republicans. We actually took pen to paper and put together a framework on how we would envision a bipartisan deal looking like, and is it somewhere around the realm of 1.7 trillion. It'd go up or down with reducers, but it is a number of things. The PPP portion was extremely popular with small businesses, getting access to those loans and those forgivable loans. There's also increased money in there for testing and for healthcare centers. There's also unemployment compensation in there as well, but there's some patchwork that needs to be done. We recognize that the CARES Act was not perfect, and we talked to a lot of small business owners. I actually had a roundtable discussion here yesterday in downtown Charleston with restaurant owners, had the owner of a newspaper, had the owner of a pet store, just across the spectrum of different types of businesses, and hearing their frustrations with the CARES Act and the Paycheck Protection Program, and then how we might be able to streamline things in the future. But look, there's in a divided Congress, Hannah, like you're not gonna get everything you want. You can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. The fact is that there are small businesses that are struggling, and some of them are even shutting their doors for good. I know we're seeing a lot of restaurants or small businesses just disappear, and they're not coming back. And so each day that goes by without another stimulus package or additional help is a day we could lose, more businesses and more employees. I think we've been urging leadership, both the administration and the speaker and Senator McConnell to get back to the table and hammer something out, recognizing that, not everybody's going to be entirely happy, but we can't go through the rest of this year without an additional round.
Staying on the subject of the economy, that of small business, and let's touch on tourism as well if we can, because I know the first district where you are based in Charleston, but all the way down the coast, tourism is our number one economic driver in this area. You guys have a lot more manufacturing in the Charleston area than we do, but specifically on tourism, give me your thoughts on those businesses that are relying on tourism, but yet tourism is extremely hard hit by COVID. Yet we've got families that are traveling here, and real estate is doing well, but really getting folks in the mindset to travel again and strengthening those small businesses that come in and undergird the experiences of a destination.
Yeah, I mean, look, the secret's out. Low Country is a beautiful place to visit. It's a beautiful place to live, and tourism has been, kind of the backbone of our economy, from Hilton Head all the way through Charleston to Folly Beach. I mean, but we got to be clear that the quickest way we can get through a recovery is for everybody to exert a bit of personal responsibility, wearing a mask, social distancing, washing your hands. These are guidelines from CDC that came out very early, and it's unfortunate that these things like wearing a mask or washing your hands or social distancing has become political. And we're just trying to follow the facts and follow the science and push that information out. And I want to get back to normal just as quickly as everyone else does. I miss all the things we could do before this pandemic, whether it be going to football games or concerts or restaurants or whatever. I'm anxious to get back to, but we can only do that if we pull through this together. And again, this, and we get our tourism economy back up and roaring. But it's like I said, it's going to take for us to do our part to get the infection rate down, get the number of cases down, so that people feel more comfortable coming to South Carolina. I mean, I imagine a lot of folks who are looking at maps of places where to visit or where to vacation, they probably pull up the infection rate or see the number of cases and may think, oh, South Carolina still got a little work to do, so may choose somewhere else. Charleston will always be, in Hilton Head and Beaufort and Bluffton, this whole area, always be a favored destination. But we're operating under this cloud of this pandemic right now. And unless we can do something to drive down these numbers, drive down the infection rate, to make people feel more confident about coming here and spending their money, then we just have to make it to that first phase. And again, that's going to take all of us doing our part.
I've personally worked with, I can show you here this fun little sign-in sheet here, my little clipboard. These are all the local businesses and nonprofits that I've personally met with, either on the phone or in person over the last week since the South Carolina CARES Act grants opened up. There's grants available to nonprofits and minority small-owned businesses. You wouldn't believe the hurting businesses. And when you look at the giant hole in the revenues between March and December of 2020, it is just staggering what they have been through. But man, they have so much hope and perseverance. It's tough, but it's also so encouraging that they're going to stick in it. They're going to keep working hard, and they're going to want you to do the same thing in Washington. Do you foresee any? Let's get on the issue of taxes. There's a lot of yuckiness, back and forth between you and your opponent and about, raising taxes and the business climate, tax reform needed. Do you see any changes that you would like to make for either individual or business tax reform that would help the business climate, starting businesses and growing those in our area?
Yeah, I mean, right now we've been focused on, like I said, another injection of a stimulus package, because when I talk to business owners, they need this relief today, not writing it off on their taxes at the end of the year or next year or something, but they need that capital today. And so that's what we're focused on. I mean, overall, broadly speaking, I'd like to see, a simpler and more equitable tax structure. But I disagree vehemently with my opponent on this issue. I mean, the May's tax plan wants to increase the sales tax of like prescription drugs or groceries by 23%. So in addition to the 7% state sales tax, you'll be checking out Walgreens, CVS, Publix, or Harris Teeter, and you'll be paying 30% tax on whatever you buy. I don't think that's the best way to make it through a pandemic. And quite frankly, I think it shifts that burden, a lot of that burden, onto our seniors. So we've got to look at, like I said, a more fair and equitable way of doing that. But that's not it.
Another issue that our membership said that they would like to hear from you on is that of uniting the country. And I know in Charleston, we didn't see a lot of the destruction in the, on the main streets that Charleston did, but there's just a real concern about civility and about social injustices happening in the inequities that exist in education and in the economy. What would you do in your next term to continue to bring our area together, as well as be a part of the voice of the nation, of our leadership, to continue to bridge those important relationships?
No, it's a great question, Hannah. And, I was down here on King Street the day after those riots and helping businesses clean up, talking to them about their experience. And I saw what I saw on King Street was our whole community coming together, and everybody condemning the violence and recognizing that it's not the path forward. I think as a country we can learn from our past and learn from some of our past leaders as well. I had the honor of serving alongside Congressman John Lewis, who was as big of a giant as his legend portrayed. And just last year, I had the privilege of marching across the Edmund Pettus Bridge with him. And civil rights heroes like Congressman John Lewis, who advocated for change and advocated for peace, recognize that comes not through violence but through peaceful protest. And I think that everybody can take a lesson from the way in which he's advocated for change. And it's important that everybody stand up and condemn violence in any form or fashion, no matter where it's coming from. But I think what this pandemic has shown, Hannah, is that there are a lot of cracks within our system that have been exposed through this. And these disparities are often, impact communities of color. And whether, especially in this day and age, we're talking through Zoom because we both have access to reliable internet, but this is a luxury that's not extended to every part of South Carolina. And again, this issue disproportionately impacts communities of color. And so it extends the access to reliable and affordable internet impacts all facets of life, whether it be the telehealth services that they could receive, or it could be the educational opportunities. Homeschooling kids right now because they can't go to school. Again, if you don't have internet, you're just out of luck. And so I think a lot of these, like I said, racial disparities have come to light. And so the question becomes, what can we do about it? And I hope that as we get through this pandemic and as we're working through it and get to the other side, we don't lose sight of these shortcomings that exist within our society and exist within our state of South Carolina. And we can come together united, but that's going to take it's going to take a uniting voice, and it's going to take a positive message. And it's not going to be, it's not going to be carried out by just demonizing the other side and calling people names and destroying property or harming people. It's going to be with a message, and it's going to be like with a voice similar to those figures in the past, like John Lewis or others that came before him. And we've attempted to strike that tone in Washington D.C. and not being caustic or divisive and or calling people liars. I mean, it's just it just doesn't bode well for compromise and working together. So we, like I said, I think our record is a reflection of that, being able to work with the other side, having the president sign my bills into law. We can disagree without being disagreeable. And I think that's the attitude and the tone this country is yearning for at this time.
The one issue that I think that perhaps divides Republicans and Democrats and even Americans the most it's so incredibly polarizing along ideological lines, but is that of healthcare. And the healthcare system, the healthcare debate, it's all just such a mess. There's so many issues, like, to unpack it. There's the price of prescription drugs. There's the pre-existing conditions. There's the repealing of Obamacare. I just spoke with a business owner this week that's concerned about upcoming reductions in the reimbursements of Medicare for his business and what that's going to do to him, possibly put him out of business. Holistically, just the entire subject. where do we start? Where do you start as an elected official in Washington to start to put together some of these pieces that can get folks not only the health care that they need, but it be affordable and accessible?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's something that's at the forefront of everyone's minds. And taking a step back, Hannah, I hate the fact that everything has become politicized. Whether it be facts and science or healthcare. I mean, this is the ACA wasn't perfect by any means, but we should keep with what works. We should throw out what doesn't. We should come together to tackle everything else in a bipartisan fashion. I mean, look, we can do a few things. We need to lower the cost of prescription drugs and drop down the price. There's no reason why we should be subsidizing those costs of foreign countries. That's why I was proud to help pass the lower the Drug Cost Now Act, which passed the House. We also need to protect insurance coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. And that's something that we have fought for time and time again in the House. And right now, there's a lawsuit in front of the United States Supreme Court that's seeking to strike down the ACA and throw millions of Americans off of their insurance because of pre-existing conditions during the middle of a global pandemic, mind you. So that's also incredibly important. Also, we need to expand healthcare insurance to other people. That's why I was proud to introduce the Medicaid Reach Act, which incentivized states to expand Medicaid coverage. If South Carolina could do that here, it would make an impact on thousands of families. But those are a few things that we can get done, and like I said, in bipartisan fashion, that will not cost a lot of money and ultimately save us a lot of money on the back end. But this is an issue that's personal to everyone. Everyone has their own stories about going to a doctor's visit or a hospital and getting hit with a bill afterwards and just being blown away, or your insurance company denying something for you. It's just, in the greatest country on earth, nobody should be going broke or being forced into bankruptcy because of inheriting some symptom or disease through no fault of their own. It's just not American.
Another issue, and we're going through them here, and I just appreciate so much your thoughtfulness. Because I could talk 30 minutes this entire thing on one of those issues, but I do, because these all of them are important to our membership. You're just going through them really fast, and I appreciate that. The issue of education, we here at the Chamber, education workforce, super important to us. We've got youth leadership programs. We really take it from, we think, cradle to career. But one specific area that we would really like to see more attention go to, and perhaps something that you might find important, or things you've worked on, is that of technical education, career education. We have a lot of jobs for skills and for hospitality and retail training that could either be done in a university, a technical college, or even through apprenticeships, great apprenticeships. And we just don't feel like that's really taking traction in our area when we need it so badly.
Yeah, I agree, Hannah. I mean, my grandfather always said, if you can work with your hands, you'll never be unemployed. And these skills, these trades, are the core part of our economy, especially here in South Carolina, as the auto manufacturing industry has just taken off. And our port, I was happy to work with South Carolina's delegation to get the funds necessary to dredge the Port of Charleston to the depth that would be the deepest along the eastern seaboard. So we're poised when we come through this pandemic to like I said, to propel our economy to heights we've never seen before. But we need to make sure that the labor force is there and that's trained. And I know we have a great number of technical colleges and institutes throughout the state of South Carolina. Trident Tech down here in Charleston is exceptional. And they're doing wonderful things too. And that's how we've been able to attract great businesses, because we're showing them that we're investing within our workforce. I think we have to continue doing that. And especially, like I said, as this port becomes the deepest port along the eastern seaboard, that's going to sprawl out to different areas down to Beaufort County and inland to Berkeley, Dorchester, and further. I mean, our economy in South Carolina is so intertwined. You get cars being shipped from Greenville all the way through South Carolina down to and being shipped out of the port here, but we're relying on parts and manufacturers in other regions of the state. So, it's a statewide economy, but making sure we have the workforce available and trained is a part of it. And so this is going to take a combination between state and federal resources, but also a partnership with these types of companies that want to invest in South Carolina, as our workforce are investing in them as well.
Speaking of workforce, one issue that our local businesses, especially those in our resort community, often talk to us about, and I know that I've reached out to your office and Lane and your policy team have been extremely helpful on, and that is the of H-2Bs and J-1 visa. A lot of folks may not know how much our local economy depends on those workers, seasonal workers that come in from international locations that are not on a path to citizenship. They want to come here and work. And we, at the time last year, we had a 2% unemployment rate in Beaufort County. So there just were not people unemployed to take these jobs. So we continue, though, to just run into these roadblocks and regulations. There are caps on the numbers of those, and it's tiresome and it's invasive for the business to apply and expensive for those visas. And most recently, President Trump shut off the pipeline even before COVID, but then during COVID, of international workers coming in. What can we do to ensure the free flow of talent and workforce that want to come here and work when there is no other option?
Yeah, I mean, Hannah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Not restricting those visas, but expanding them. I talked to a lot of business owners. A couple who ran a small motel down there in Beaufort County, talk about how they're in there making up the beds and changing the sheets over because they can't find the workforce, and they have to limit the number of rooms that they open up, limiting their business and their dollars. And like you said, Hannah, these are people who just want to come here for the season, work, and then go home to their families. And a lot of these jobs we can't find people to fill. And so it's either shutting down these businesses altogether, or it's allowing the labor to come in here and do the job and then leave. And so I think Beaufort County sees it probably more than Charleston County or other parts of the state. But I talked to a lot of folks from Kiowa on down to Hilton Head who struggle with this issue, and it's something we've written letters about. We've pushed leadership and the administration on, but again, this isn't a open up the floodgates and let people come in. This is a very targeted practice that identifies those people, and oftentimes, Hannah, as you know, it's the same people come every year. They come up for a few months, they leave. They come back for a few months, they leave. And again, they're doing a service to our economy and filling roles that we cannot get other people to fill.
And it's not just here. I'm sure your colleagues in Congress from across the country, I mean, the ski resorts right now, they're ramping up, trying to get their seasonal workers. It is everywhere. The last topic that I'd like to touch on, and one that I know that a record you've been proud of, and that is of protecting the environment. Your votes and work on offshore drilling, I know that we appreciate. I know you're continuing work. Have we done enough to stop that yet? We have positioned as a chamber against offshore drilling, but other issues regarding the environment for our not only beautiful pristine beaches, but our waterways, our air, and just keeping this a beautiful place that people love to live and work and play in.
Yeah, exactly, Hannah. I mean, the Low Country is it's very popular because of our beaches, our waterways, and our way of life. And we got to do everything we can to protect that. Again, for future generations, for my son, for his generation. And that's what we've been trying to do since day one in Washington, D.C. The very first bill that I introduced was a bill to ban offshore drilling. And I was glad that our bill banning offshore drilling passed the House with bipartisan support. Now, we're disappointed Senator Graham did not pick it up. But we cannot stop fighting this until a bill is signed into law, because as we've seen, presidents can put in moratoriums, they can take out moratoriums. We need a law in place. We applaud what President Trump putting in a moratorium. However, we've also heard mixed messaging saying that he could repeal it at any point. And the only way for us to rest assured that there will never be any rigs off a shoreline of Hilton Head is to, have a bill signed into law. And again, our bill was bipartisan. It got great support, across the political spectrum. And, we just need to replicate it over in the Senate. Now, to your other point, we've also had a lot of other successes and victories. The Great American Outdoors Act, which I think I touched on earlier, which permanently funds the Land Water Conservation Fund. The LWCF is responsible for acquiring properties, green spaces, parks, and preserving them. It's funded by zero tax dollars. It's funded all off royalties from oil and gas. And so zero tax dollars are spent on this, but it's responsible for acquiring great spaces like the Hunting Island State Park. That was through LWCF funds. And the Great American Outdoors Act, that we introduced in the House, that got signed into law by the president, make sure that LWCF is permanently funded. It's being called one of the best environmental pieces of legislation in half a century. So we're proud to be a part of that. We're proud that the Low Country had its thumbprint on that. And that's, I think, a victory that we can all celebrate together, though.
In the last minute or two that we have, is there any topics that I did not pose to you that you particularly would like to talk about? And just why, when voters go to the polls on November the 3rd, why they should continue to keep you in office, keep sending you to Washington?
Thanks, Hannah. I just tell you that it's been the opportunity of my lifetime, the honor of my lifetime to represent the Low Country in Congress. And, we ran on putting Low Country over party and people over politics. And I think from the endorsements you've seen would be from the conservative groups, like you mentioned, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, or it's, endorsements from the state newspaper, city paper, Charleston City Paper endorsed us here this week. And look, everybody, we got endorsements from Republican mayors, Republican council members, especially down there in Beaufort County as well. We've had a lot of support, Democrats and Republicans, and we've been bringing people together. And I think that that's what this country needs more than ever. And it's something we ran on last time. And being the fourth most bipartisan member out of 435 is a testament to us reaching across the aisle and getting things done. And we've got a strong record in these first 2 years. We've done a lot for veterans, done a lot for our environment, but there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. So it would be, like I said, the privilege and honor to continue serving the Low Country. And as always, our door is always open to the chamber, and anything you all need at all, feel free to reach out. But it's been great working with you, Hannah, and look forward to working with you for the years to come too.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And we thank Congressman Cunningham for his time in discussing the issues. Just a reminder that we have several upcoming chamber events. Mark your calendar. Tomorrow's weekly teletown hall, really interesting. We welcome Hardeeville's Mayor, Harry Williams, to discuss Exit 3 and a lot of other great things happening in Jasper County as it neighbors Beaufort County, and how we think of things regionally and how we can all work together to continue to make our area great. The Chamber Coffee Chat meets some new folks who are from around the area, other business owners, and network and have a cup of coffee virtually. Gratitude and Pasta, that's a really cool program that we have coming up. Our friend Chris Shimbra, who has written a book and has a program where he focuses on bringing folks together over pasta, which what's not to love, right? And we'll have a good time with him on November the 11th. And hey, grab your golf clubs. Come join us. We're going to have a fun golf outing at the Chamber Business Golf Classic on November the 16th. If you have not signed up a team, then we welcome you to do so as soon as possible. That's going to fill up fast. And what beautiful weather we've had recently to be able to do that. I hope everybody has a really great day. Just a reminder as well that there is in-person early voting happening in Beaufort County, both on Ulmer Road and at the Beaufort County Complex on Hilton Head Island. So please be sure to get your ballots in early if you need to, or on election day. And we also thank those businesses that are helping the chamber with its Adopt a Polling Place location, that businesses and restaurants that have stepped up and have volunteered to feed the poll workers at the polling locations over the course of the day on election day. So lots of stuff happening here at the chamber. Get involved, reach out to us if you need us, and have a great day, everybody.